And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We got an exciting new game to put on the channel today, and by new I mean new to me, because this is very not new, especially in the age of board games we are currently in. This is Root. Correct, a woodland critters killing each other in the woods, but they're cute, so you know, it doesn't seem all that bad. It's a game of woodland might and right. So I have the base game of Root. I have the River Folk expansion. And thanks to Leader Games, they gave me a review copy of the Clockwork expansion. And I really appreciate that. They gave it to me back at PAX 2021, which wasn't that long ago, but it feels like freaking forever ago. So much has happened in the last few months. So thank you to them for that review copy so I could feature this game and all of its solo goodness to you all. This game is cool. I get the hype. I get why people freaking love it. And I get how someone could be like, this is my game. Like, I want to dig into this game and I want to play forever and I want to explore all the factions and I want to do 3 bots and take on these crazy challenges and go nuts. And that's super awesome for whoever found their game. That is amazing. This is not that game for me, but it's damn good. That's for sure. And I really do dig it and have a lot more to explore with it. I have only played one competitive game. That was a 4-player game with the 4 base factions. About halfway through the game, I'm like, I know how to stop the Woodland Alliance in theory, and I know how I could, in theory, stop the Marquis, but how the frig do you stop the Vagabond? And I also was playing as the Eyrie, and I was like, they seem a little weak. I'm doing something very, very wrong. Mind you, I had a great time. I really enjoyed learning it. And the Vagabond ran away with it, had a 13-point turn, and it was just like, oh, okay, interesting. And then I started to read all of these threads about the game, and it's like, oh yeah, the Vagabond's super overpowered, and you don't want to play it unless there's another Vagabond in there, and they're really hard to stop, and everyone needs to know what's going on, and experienced players that can kind of neutralize it. All right, I was kind of on the right place there. And the second one was like, oh, the Eyrie are broken, they're terrible, and blah, 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 blah. You have to really know what they're doing, and you have to like kind of plan your turmoils, and oh, okay, great. My initial feeling about the game, my initial things I was aware of, I won't even say gripes. Look, I played the game once. I was still in a spot of like, oh, what's really going on here? It's like, oh, so a lot of people had those similar experiences. There doesn't need to be a level of getting used to the game, and experience in this game does matter, and certain things are going to happen, and there's certain stories that will play out from game to game to game, and there's balancing issues that you're going to want to be aware of, what factions you choose carefully based on experience levels and how many players and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all really cool that there's that level of depth. It kind of reminds me of Spirit Island a little bit, where you have this world that you're just kind of learning about as you go, and certain interactions are just going to happen. And the question is, how do you prepare for them? How do you take your knowledge of this world to when you're playing to come out on top and get to the 30 victory points that you need to win? I don't know where this game goes for me beyond the 1v1 matchups with the various bots. I do want to feature all 6 of the factions that I have. I know there are 2 more expansions. Just kind of see where this falls on the channel and how much interest there is for Root on this channel, because obviously it's a wee bit of a change of pace. So at this one we have 6 factions and we have 4 bots. Well, actually 5 bots if you consider the Mechanical Marquise that came with the River Folk expansion. For those of you who do not know, the River Folk expansion was like the first expansion, I believe. It had 2 factions, and then with that came the first bot. That bot has been universally considered terrible, and there was a group of players who loved this game who went ahead and designed the Clockwork expansion and totally revamped the bot and developed 4 bots. And I forget the dude's name who is the lead of this project. He actually ended up being hired by Leader Games to develop the bot in-house, and that's really awesome. So this comes with rules for 4 bots. You have a bot for each of the 4 initial factions. You have the Mechanical Marquise, you have the Vagabot as opposed to the Vagabond, and then there's also a bot for both the Woodland Alliance as well as the Eyrie. I'm going to go ahead and get the Mechanical Marquise set up. And again, it's a Mechanical Marquise 2.0. The bots come with 3 levels of difficulty. There is easy, there is challenging, and there is nightmare. I'm going to play on nightmare because honestly, I don't find this game all that hard. It doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I don't find it all that hard. I would say I'll probably win this matchup over 80% of the time. It just depends on how certain rolls happen and certain other things. Now, the bots also come with 4 traits each. I'll kind of explain that as we go, what the traits are. I will not be playing with one of the 4 traits for the Marquis because I just find it really wonky in a game where it's 1v1 against a bot, although I could see if there are multiple factions on the board beyond 1v1. So in a 4-player game, a 5-player game, a 1-player game with 3 bots, whatever, I could see Blitz maybe adding to the game, but I just find it actually detracts from the overall experience. So I'm going to take that out and we'll just go with Hospitals, Fortified, and Iron Will on the Nightmare setting. So the first thing I want to do is set up the Marquis, and then we'll kind of talk through their board and we'll talk through the Eyrie, and we'll get this party started. All right, what's going on? The Mechanical Marquise are a bunch of cats, and the cats have taken over the woodland and basically have asserted themselves, and they are freaking everywhere because they're freaking cats, and there's just a lot of them. The cats have 25 warriors. Look how cute they are. They're adorable. Oh, it bit me. I'm sorry. I'm in a really weird mood today. I'll get over it. We're going to put the keep token in a random corner. So the corners are 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm going to roll a die. I rolled a 6, not helpful. I rolled a 5, not helpful. I rolled a 3. So we're going to put the keep down here. That is home of the cats. No other faction can place pieces in a keep. You see all these little boxes of the various clearings. Normally, multiple factions could have a building there, but not where the keep is. So I could not get over there and put my building there until I destroy the keep, which is going to be a little harder based on the other settings that I have put in play in this game. Now that we place the keep token, we're going to place a warrior in each clearing except the one that's diagonally opposite the keep. So we're not going to place a warrior in one, but we're going to put these warriors, yes, they are warriors. They might look like hats, but they are warriors. And then we're going to put one extra warrior in the keep as well. So we have a warrior here in 3. You'll notice the clearings have a couple of things. Yes, I placed numbers down. The numbers, for those of you who don't know, are only for a game of Root that has a bot that determines the priority order, determines where they move, it determines a bunch of things. Additionally, you'll see these little figures. This is the fall side of the board. The other side is the winter side, and these are randomized. On the fall side of the board, these are set. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 clearings that have a fox next to it. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 clearings that have a mouse next to it, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 clearings that have a bunny next to it. When the Marquis acts, he will generally act in only one of the 3 types of clearings, depending on which card is drawn. This is a deck of cards. The cards in the top left have symbols. You have bunnies, you have foxes, you have mice. You also have birds. Birds are a wild card of sort. They will cause an escalated daylight phase for the Mechanical Marquis as opposed to the normal daylight phase. What happens in the escalated daylight phase for where I'm at with this game will generally determine whether or not I win or lose. There's a lot of crazy stuff that will happen there. Now, we're still going to go through setup. We're placing starting buildings. The Marquis has 3 kinds of buildings. They have sawmills, they have workshops, and they have recruiters. They are going to be placing as many of these buildings as they can throughout the game as it develops. Now, the type of building they will place on any given turn will depend on the kind of card that they pull off the deck. So if it's a fox card, they're going to place a sawmill. If it's a bunny card, they will place a workshop. And if it is a mouse card, they will place a recruiter. They might place a sawmill in a non-fox clearing, just like they might place a workshop in a non-bunny clearing or a recruiter in a non-mouse clearing, but that will be the type of building they're placed based on the card. If they pull a bird card, they will place a building on the board of the one that they already have the most on the board because they're trying to get over here to the right side of one of these lines. And you'll see why, right? So they get 0 points, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, 5 point. They get more points if there's more of one type of building out. All 3 of these lines have the same numbers. So 0 up through 5. We're placing our initial 3 starting buildings. We're randomly placing a sawmill, a workshop, and a recruiter among the clearing with the keep token and those clearings adjacent with up to 1 building in each clearing. So I'm going to roll this D6. What type of building are we placing? I rolled a 6. That's going to be this. And where am I going to place it? So we'll go 3, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I rolled a 1. So we are putting this in with the keep token. Now we have to place these 2 buildings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where am I placing this? We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're putting this up here. Again, that is adjacent. And then the sawmill, we're definitely placing that. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here, we'll place that over here in this mouse clearing. Note this river we can totally ignore because we are not playing with the river folk expansion faction who uses that. They are beautiful and teal, but we will have to save them for another day. So adjacency is only going to be according to these paths. So anything where you see these little white pebble paths, that is what is going to determine adjacency. We can totally ignore the river, as I said. So 11 and 10 might look adjacent because there's something connecting them, but nope, not adjacent. Stop it. Now we have to fill the building tracks. I already did that. I am going to have to set up my own pieces. I am placing 6 warriors and a roost in the corner clearing diagonally opposite from the clearing with the keep. So I'm going to get a roost up here. Again, it has to go in that little box, and 6 of my bird warriors. What's up with the birds? The birds really don't like the Marquis. The birds used to be the top dog in town. And by top dog, I mean top bird or whatever. But then these freaking cats just took over, and it's just really annoying and sad for these birds. And they are basically now in their roost, brooding and thinking about how to inflict max pain on these stupid cats to once again reign supreme in the woodland. Absolutely. We're going to choose a leader and keep the rest nearby. Now, before I choose a leader, I will get 3 starting cards. That will matter. So I'm not going to do that just yet. You absolutely get your 3 starting cards before you go ahead and choose leaders. That will absolutely matter to determine what leader I want to start with, and I'll explain what they do in a second. But after I choose the leader, I'm going to flip my board and place my chosen leader on the leader card slot. I'm going to tuck my 2 loyal viziers under the decree columns listed on the leader I choose. I'm going to fill my roost track with roost except for the leftmost space. Leftmost space can't be filled because that roost is on the board. So let me shuffle up these cards. There's a bunch more to them, but we'll kind of deal with that as we go. And let me talk about the Eyrie. So the Eyrie is all about their decree. What is their decree? Well, at the top of their board along here, you'll see 4 actions listed: recruit, move, battle, and build. I'm going to put more and more cards in there as the game goes. And I have to do what each of those actions are, and I have to do it in a way or in a clearing. I have to act in a clearing as determined by the kind of cards that I put there. The cards are going to be fox, bunny, or mouse, or bird. Birds are wild. If there's ever a card that I have on one of these slots that I cannot carry out the decree, I go into turmoil. There's 4 things that happen. First, I am humiliated. I will lose 1 victory point per bird card, including the viziers, on the decree. The viziers are like starter cards. As I read on the back of the board, these will start in play, and where they go will depend on what leader I use. Then I will purge. The entire decree will get discarded except for the viziers. I will flip my leader face down and get a new one, and then I will reassign my viziers. I will immediately end my daylight, so if I had more actions that I could have done, I can't because my decree went to crap, and then I have to go to evening. And my evening will happen like normal. I'll score, etc., etc., etc. These boards are really helpful once you know what the heck you're looking at. It's all listed out for you on the side, both for the bot and for yourself. So I've shuffled up this deck. I'm going to put this deck over here on the board, and I'm going to get 3 cards. The bot will not have any cards to start. What 3 cards did I get? Well, we have a fox card, a bunny card, and a fox card. The fox card says ambush. You may only ambush in a fox clearing at the start of battle. The defender may play to deal 2 immediate hits, then discard, cancel if attacker plays a matching ambush card. However, we are playing as a Mechanical Marquise. They hate surprises. Ambush cards cannot be played against the Mechanical Marquise. It says against you, it means the Mechanical Marquise. This bunny card has a bunch of weird symbols on it. On the bottom, there's a bunny clearing, and it says a visit to friends. And I can craft some boots, and I can discard, and get a point. I will not be doing a lot of crafting as the Eyrie. Why? Well, the Eyrie have a disdain for trade. When crafting readiness, you score only 1 point, regardless of what is listed on the card. This crafting would only give me a point anyway, but honestly, these cards are going to be more valuable for me in my decree than they will for me to be crafting anyway, at least early. So we're not going to worry about that too much. However, the Marquis, every time they have a chance to craft an item, if that item is available, they will craft it. And because they're a bot, they'll only get 1 point, even if it says more. So they have like their own little mini disdain for trade, just not as much as the disdain for trade that I have. And to be clear, I can only craft this if I have a roost in a bunny clearing. If 2 cards I wanted to craft require me to have a roost in a bunny clearing, and I only have 1 such roost, that roost is effectively exhausted. So I could only actually craft one of those two items, not both. So they are kind of used up. But again, the Marquis pays no attention to limits based on buildings. If there's an item it can craft and the item is available, it will absolutely craft it. And then finally, favor of the foxes. If I have 3 roosts in 3 different fox clearings, I can remove all enemy pieces in fox clearings, then discard. Effectively, this will allow me to purge all Marquis from fox clearings that I control, and it will allow me to actually wipe out the Marquis from a fox clearing that maybe I want to control, but just do not have the opportunity to control yet. But again, all these cards will end up in my decree. I will not be using them for their special abilities. Getting a hand of cards is hard to get. They are very valuable, but I did not get dealt any birds, unfortunately, because that's going to make me a little more constrained, and it's going to definitely factor into my decision of what leader I want to take. So now that I flip this over, let me put these extra roosts here on the board. Similar to the Marquis, I will score it based on the highest number where I've removed the roost token above it. So if I get a second roost on the board, I'll score 1 point. If I get a third, I'll score 2. A fourth roost on the board, I'll score 3, etc., etc. And you score once a turn in the evening phase of your turn. Additionally, every evening you draw 1 card. Plus, if I have 3 roosts on the board, I'll draw an additional card. And when I get up to 6 roosts on the board, assuming that happens, I will draw 2 additional cards, which is huge. Having that many cards will give me a lot of flexibility in what cards I put here in my decree. And there's no reason to hoard a lot of cards, because if you get more than 5 cards in your hand after drawing your cards in the evening, you will have to discard down to 5. The leader options I have are as follows. We have the builder. The builder tells me that I would have to put my loyal viziers in the recruit action and in the move action, which means that every turn I'm going to recruit in a matching clearing with the roost. Matching, well, the bird matches everywhere. I can recruit another warrior into that fox clearing, and then I can move. What is moving? Well, I would move from a matching clearing. So that means that I would have to move my warriors from a fox clearing to an adjacent land. Moving has a very specific rule about control, though. I can only move a unit from a clearing if I either rule the clearing from which I'm moving, or I rule the clearing that I'm moving to. Normally, to rule, you need to have more pieces than any other faction. So obviously it's a 2-player game, virtually, me versus the bot. So if the bot had 3 pieces in a clearing and I only had 2, I do not rule that clearing. Note that pieces means warriors plus buildings plus any other tokens that will be there. For instance, you have the keep here in clearing 3 for the Marquis. In a normal game with other factions, you will see other kinds of pieces that are on the board. The Marquis themselves has some wood tokens that they use to do some things, but the bot just ignores all of those rules. One of the cool things about the Eyrie is that the Eyrie is Lords of the Forest. They rule any clearings where they are tied in presence. So I could have 2 pieces. The Mechanical Marquise can have 2 pieces. I will still be considered to have ruled it for the purpose of carrying out my decree. So that is the builder. The builder's special ability here on its card is that it ignores my disdain for trade when I craft. So if I crafted an item that was giving me more than 1 point, I would be able to get the full amount. This could be a nice play later, but it's not a very good leader to start the game with. We have the despot. The despot starts with his viziers in move and in build. So every turn, I'm going to need to move from a clearing that I rule, or move to a clearing that I rule. And I'm going to have to build in a matching clearing I rule without a roost. So to build a roost, I do need to rule it, and it cannot already have a roost. So if I'm in clearing 9 and there's a roost there and I ruled it, I couldn't then build another roost there and satisfy my decree. I'm only building in new lands. Again, I'm trying to take the woodland back from the Marquis. The despot's special ability is if I remove at least 1 enemy building or token in battle, I score a point. Very nice. I'm intrigued by them because I do want to be encouraged to build. I have some interesting cards that could make that work. So they're a strong contender. Here we have the commander. The commander would put these in move and battle. So I've already talked about recruit. I talked about move. I talked about build. Battle. I have to battle in a matching clearing. Battle is very simple. There are 2 dice. In most situations, when you're battling, the attacker will roll both dice. The attacker gets the higher number. The defender gets the lower number. The numbers are the number of points of damage done to the opponent. However, note the attacker or defender can only get the benefit of doing damage equal to the number of warriors in a clearing. So if I had 2 Eyrie here and I rolled that exact roll, a 3 and a 0, I'm only doing 2 damage, even though I rolled a 3, because I only have 2 warriors. It also means that if you roll a 3 and a 3, and there's a lot of warriors in a certain place, you could be losing a ton of your own warriors as you go. So you do want to plan for that. Meanwhile, the special ability of the commander is as attacker in battle, you deal an extra hit. That could be very strong. And then finally, we have the charismatic recruit battle. You place 2 warriors, not 1, each time you recruit. I really like the charismatic leader generally to start, but I don't love the fact that I don't have a bird card in my hand. I could put me in a spot where building's going to get hard because I'm going to only be able to build in those 3 bunny slots unless the Marquis starts taking away my buildings. One thing I should have said about battle is in battle, for every token you take off the board of an opponent, you get a point. So if I was allowing the Marquis to take my buildings off the board so I can continue to build them without going into turmoil, they would be getting 1 point every time. And again, it's a race to 30. That 1 point every time could really become problematic. We will go with the despot because he looks grumpy, and who better to lead the way in this woodland battle than the grumpy vulture that the despot is. Amazing. So I'm going to put my first vizier in move, and my second vizier is going to be in build. Now, let me talk about the special traits that I have in play with the Marquis. Again, I'm playing a nightmare level. Whenever the Marquis recruits, they will also place 2 warriors in the ordered clearing they rule of the highest priority. Now, priority goes from lowest number to highest number. So 1 has higher priority over 2, so forth and so on. Ordered simply means matching the card that was pulled for that turn. Additionally, on nightmare level, at the end of evening, the Marquis is going to score 1 point. So it's going to get 1 point a turn, no matter what else it does on that turn. Now we get into the traits. There's the hospital trait. At the end of battle, as defender, if 2 or more Marquis warriors were removed in the battle, place 2 warriors in the clearing with the keep token. It means the Marquis is going to be able to continue to cycle its warriors, and it's going to make it very hard for me to destroy the keep and to get that off the board. So very much a strong trait for the Marquis. Fortified. Your buildings each take 2 hits to remove. Taking a single hit with a building has no effect. Again, very strong trait for the Marquis. Going to make winning this a lot harder. I do want to destroy buildings to get a point for each building I destroy. Additionally, remember, as long as the despot is my leader before I go into turmoil, because that probably happened at least once, I get an additional point for destroying an enemy building in battle as well. Finally, the last trait I'm going to use today is Iron Will. Whenever you recruit in escalated daylight, that happens whenever a bird card is drawn, you will place double the warriors. Blitz is an interesting idea. I just find it a little bit broken. I think something's wrong with how this is written. I've found a couple of forums where it was discussed and people kind of felt like, yeah, it's a little wonky. After you move, find the clearing you rule of highest priority with no enemy pieces. Move all but 1 warrior from this clearing, then battle in the destination clearing. It sounds strong in theory, but in practice, all it ends up doing is taking any warriors that the Marquis is going to gather in 2 and just continue to move them into 5. And as long as I don't move to 5, it just means that they're just going to clump up a bunch of warriors in one place, and it's kind of silly. So I don't really understand the point, and then they just have a whole bunch of warriors that have basically drained their ability to add new warriors to the board. I find that the Blitz actually made the one-on-one games of the Eyrie versus the Marquis a lot easier as a trait. That kind of defeated the purpose of adding the traits. So I'm just going to take that out. If someone has thoughts about this, maybe I'm missing something, I'm happy to get those thoughts in the comment. I just found this trait not worth adding. The rest definitely will increase the difficulty by a little bit each. One of the strange things I find about the solo mode of this game is that starting player is random, but the best I have seen, most solo games are like, no, this player goes first. No, this player goes first. I mean, they're really trying to simulate this as if it's his own player. I mean, especially with like the U language on the board, and that's kind of cool, I guess. I do wish there was a little bit more like balance, like things like Blitz. I wish it was like, hey, only use if there's multiple bots. I feel like there should have been a little bit more instruction in this. And hey, in a solo game, you always go first, or the Marquis always goes first, or whatever. 1, 2, 3, I'm going to go first. 4, 5, 6, the Marquis goes first. I rolled a 2. I go first. Awesome. I'm going to go through my turn. My turn's very much laid out for me. There's birdsong, there's daylight, there's evening. When we get to the marquee, they're going to do birdsong, they're going to do daylight, they're going to do evening. Or they'll do birdsong, escalated daylight, and then evening. Birdsong. If my hand is empty, I draw one card. My hand is not empty. Add one or two cards to the decree. I will add exactly two cards to the decree because I would like to get a lot of my dudes on the board as quickly as I can. Charismatic is a really interesting leader that I sometimes will take. This certain situation I did not, but at least I can still recruit 2 warriors to a fox clearing at the beginning of every round, and I just need to make sure I hold on to my roost in that fox clearing to make that possible. If I have no roost, I place a roost of 3 warriors in a clearing with the fewest total pieces. If that happens, that means I very much lost the game and I probably should just put it away and start over. So probably won't get to that. Note, when you're adding cards to the decree, you can only add 1 bird. So if you're dealt 3 birds, which does happen from time to time, there's a fair amount of birds in that deck, then you can only add 1 card instead of 2. When I played this game with my friends, I was only adding about 1 card a turn. I was like, I really was scared of turmoil, and I realized I played the Eyrie way too passively. You need to be a lot more aggressive. 30 points will come up on you super quick, and if you're only adding 1 card a turn as the Eyrie, you are going to be very, very far behind when the game ends, most likely. At least that was my experience. All right, so I've done my bird song. I would sing a bird song for you if I knew one that would not sound like fingernails on a chalkboard for you, but I will spare you all that experience. We're going to go to daylight. I'm going to craft using roosts. At this point, if I had a card that had a fox clearing symbol on it, I could craft, but I would have to discard the card. Again, that's not happening. And now I resolve my decree. When you resolve your decree, you have to resolve each individual action before the next. I have to recruit before I move, before I battle, before I build. However, I can carry out the cards in whatever order I want. That is especially important when it comes to moving, as you'll see as my decree gets more developed. As it is now, I'm going to recruit in a fox clearing with the first card. I'm going to recruit in my fox clearing with the second card. Now I'm going to move from a matching clearing. I'm moving from any clearing where I have warriors because this is a bird card. I'm going to move 6 warriors from there into this mouse clearing. I ruled clearing 1, so I was absolutely able to make that move. Battle, I'm not battling anywhere. Build, I'm building in a matching clearing. Again, the bird can match any clearing, so I'm going to build in this mouse clearing, and I'm going to get myself a new roost. I can put on either one of those 2 spots. So that's it. That's my entire decree. That's my entire first turn. We now go to evening. I'm going to score victory points of the rightmost empty space on the roost track. That's going to be 1. Woohoo! I'm winning. And now I'm going to draw 1 card plus 1 card per plus 1 card showing. There is no plus 1 card showing there, so I'm just going to draw the top card of the deck. It's a mouse card. Oh, how wonderful. I would like a bird. Very much like a bird. We are now going to go to the Mechanical Marquise turn. So the Mechanical Marquise is going to do their bird song. They're revealing a card. It's a mouse. Now that they've revealed this card, they're going to craft anything on the card to get 1 if it has an available item. There is no crafting ability on this card. It is an ambush card, which again, it won't use because it hates surprises. We're going to go to daylight. It's not a bird card, so we do not have to worry about escalated daylight yet. We're just doing regular daylight. They're battling in each ordered clearing. Now, if we were playing a bot with multiple players or 1 player, multiple bots, the defender is going to be the one that has the most pieces. Obviously, in this case, I'm always going to be the defender. So we're going to go in priority order. There's nothing to battle in 2. There's nothing to battle in 7. They are going to battle in 9. They're the attacker. I'm the defender. They did 3 damage, but there's only 1 of them. I did 2 damage, and there's multiple of me. So since there's only 1 of them, I have 1 loss of 1 warrior. They have a loss of their warrior. He fought the good fight, but it just was not enough to go against the 6 birds that I had in his clearing. Sorry, dude. So that's now the end of the battle part. Recruit. They're going to recruit 4 warriors evenly among ordered clearings in which they rule. If they only rule 3 such clearings, place the 4th warrior in such a clearing of highest priority. So we're getting 4 warriors, and we're putting them in the clearings that the marquee rules. So they do rule 2. They do rule 7. They don't rule 9. They do rule 11, but this 4th warrior is going to go in 2 because that is the ordered clearing of the highest priority. Remember, whenever they recruit, they're also going to place 2 warriors in the ordered clearing of the highest priority. So they're going to get 2 more warriors in 2. So you get an army amassing there. That's going to matter when we get to move. Before we get to move, we have to do build. They're going to build a building in the clearing you rule with the most marquee warriors. What they place is going to depend on the kind of card it is. They have the most marquee warriors in 2. They're going to place a recruiter there because it is a mouse card and it just happens to go in a mouse clearing, but it doesn't have to, but that is where they have the most warriors. Now they're going to move. They're going to move all but 3 of their warriors from each ordered clearing in the adjacent clearing with the most enemy pieces. I have no enemy pieces next to these cats. The most enemy pieces would be 0. And since all of these have 0 of my pieces, they're going to go to the one that's the highest priority, which is going to be 5, because this is 6, this is 10. And they're now going to move here, which means that they are now in place to threaten my fox clearing. And that makes me sad and afraid. Makes me consider, hey, maybe I do put this battle card in place and just go start messing with them in the next round. Now they are going to expand. If they did not place a building this turn and have 5 or fewer buildings on the board, discard the order card and draw a new one. They did place a building this turn, so that is not a thing. And then evening, they're going to score victory points at the rightmost empty space on the ordered building track. That is a 1. Additionally, on nightmare level, they get another 1. And now they're going to discard the order card. My turn. I think I want to start battling some fools. I'm going to place this card in move. It is a mouse card. I'm going to place this card in battle. It's a bunny card. I'm going to do my decree. I'm recruiting in fox clearing. So both of these have to go up here. And now I'm moving. I have to move from a mouse clearing, and I have to also move from any other clearing. I'm going to move 1 warrior into here, matching the bird card. And I'm going to move 4 warriors from there because that matches the mouse card. Now I have to battle in a bunny clearing. So I'm battling here, 4 to 1, 0, 0. No damage was done on either side. And now I'm going to build a roost that I ruled that doesn't have a roost. Obviously, I'm going to build a roost in this bunny clearing. That is the end of my bird song and my daylight. Again, I did not craft. I will not be crafting for a while. I have a disdain for trade, kids. And now I'm going to score victory points for the rightmost empty roost space. I get 2 victory points for that. And I'm going to draw cards. I get 1 card plus 1 card. I get 2 more cards. We have a bunny and a fox. No birds for me, which isn't great. We now go to the Marquise turn. The Marquis gets a fox card. Interesting. So the Marquis is going to craft an order card if there's an available item. This is not an item. These are persistent effects. The Marquis cannot craft persistent effects. They're only crafting items. So now they're going to do their daylight. They're going to battle in each ordered clearing. I rule in 1. They're not there, so there's nothing to battle in 1. There's nothing to battle in 6. There's nothing to battle in 8. There's nothing to battle in 12. One thing I should say, these are ruin spaces. There's 4 of them on the board. When you play with the Vagabond, they come into play a lot more, but basically now they're just block spaces. No one can build there, and that's not going to change at all during this game. So we've done the battle part. They're going to recruit. The Marquis is going to recruit in every fox clearing it rules. Plus, on nightmare level, it's going to place 2 warriors in the ordered clearing it rules of the highest priority. So it's going to get a total of 6 more cats on the board. They're going to get 1 cat in 6, 1 cat in 8, 1 cat in 12, and then 3 more cats in 6. They're building a building to clearing with the most marquee warriors. That is indeed 6. And they're going to build what kind of building? They're building a sawmill because it is a fox card. That will go there. They're going to move all but 3 warriors from each ordered clearing to an adjacent clearing of the most enemy pieces. Again, most enemy pieces is 0. They're going to move 2 warriors from 6 into 2. We just moved 2 cats from 2 to 5 last turn. That's just what the bot is doing. They're just kind of solidifying their stronghold over there. And now they're going to expand. Again, expand isn't relevant because they did place a sawmill. They're going to score victory points are the rightmost empty space on the ordered buildings track. That's 1 or 1. I guess they'll take 1. And then nightmare means that they get 1 more, so they are up to 4 points. We're now discarding this order card. My turn. I actually have Tax Collector, which is super interesting. Once in daylight, I can remove one of my warriors or draw a card. Don't find that the most helpful. I'm going to place this bunny in recruit, and I'm going going to place this fox card in move. You need to be careful about recruiting too much, because if I have to recruit and I have no more warriors to recruit, I will go into turmoil right on the very first action. But there should be some battles here that are going to make me lose some warriors at some point pretty soon. So now I'm going to start carrying out my decree. I'm adding 2 Eyrie warriors to 1, and I'm adding 1 Eyrie warrior to 4. We're going to move. I'm going to move from a bunny clearing to this mouse clearing. That would have been the wild. I'm going to move from this mouse clearing into the fox clearing. And I'm going to move from this fox clearing into this bunny clearing. I'm battling in a bunny clearing. I'm going to battle up in 10. I did 3 damage. The Marquis did 1 in defense. So this Marquis warrior is out. My Eyrie warrior is out. And now I can build in a matching clearing. I rule without a roost. I'm going to put a roost there. We go to evening. I'm going to score victory points. I get 3 victory points now. So I go from 3 up to 6, and I draw 1 card plus 1 card for 2 more cards. Can I get a bird? No. Fox. Wow. This is not amazing. If I didn't have this disdain for trade, I could actually use my 2 bunny clearings, because I have a roost and 2 bunny clearings, to craft that little coin thing, and I would get 3 points for that. I'm sure the coin thing has an actual official name. Someone in the comments can tell me what it is, who's played the Vagabond a lot more than me. We're now going to go to the Mechanical Marquise turn. It's almost guaranteed to be a bird, because I have seen so many non-birds. It is a bird. So the Marquis is going to craft a sword, because they have a crafting ability on their card. They're going to take the sword from the top of the board there, put it there. So there are 11 more items on the board, and they're going to get 1 point for crafting, even though the card says 2. 1 point for them. They're now going to go forward and do an escalated daylight. They're battling in each clearing. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're battling and clearing 4. They're the attacker, so they get the higher number. I'm the defender. I get the lower number. I rolled a 1 and a 0. I lose 1 of my warriors. They're now going to recruit 2 warriors in each of the 2 clearings they rule with the lowest priority. If they rule only 1 such clearing, they put all 4 warriors there. So they're going to get 2 warriors into 12 and 2 into 11, except they're out of warriors, and 11's highest priority. So they're actually going to get 2 and 11 and 1 and 12. They're going to build a building of the type with the most pieces on the map in a clearing they rule with the most Marquis warriors. They're tied with sawmills and recruiters, so they are going to actually go with sawmills. Sawmills gets the tiebreaker, and they're going to put this in the land with the most warriors. That is still land 2. That's going to go there. And then they're going to move all but 3 warriors from each clearing to an adjacent clearing with the most enemy pieces, then battle in each clearing you move to. This is going to happen in order of highest priority to lowest priority, so it actually will end up causing a battle this turn, as you'll see. They don't have 3 warriors in 1. They do have 3 warriors in 2. That's going to move to the place with the most enemy pieces. That goes to 10. We're now battling there. They're the attacker. I'm the defender. They do 1 damage. I do 0. They are moving from 3. They only have 2 warriors there. Moving from 4. Moving from 5. Moving from 6. Again, these all have 3 or less warriors. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So again, 11 is going to come join them there. They're battling again. They're the attacker. I'm the defender. Wow. That's really gross. So what are they going to do? Well, they have managed to do 3 damage. I did 0 because I'm rolling really good. That does destroy my building. That gives them a point. This goes back on my roost spot. Woo! Well, so much for having too many warriors on the map. Apparently, I'm going to be recruiting more next turn. That is done. And then they have 12. They only have 3 warriors in 12. So that was a really unfortunate turn of events for me. We go to their evening. They're going to score 2 points because they have the 2 revealed there and 1 more point. I definitely want to start messing with some of their buildings. So this mouse clearing is looking very attractive for me as something for a turn or 2 from now. So we're going to go to my turn. I have to get more warriors on the board. I'm going to place 2 fox cards there. I'm now recruiting 4 Eyrie warriors there, and I'm recruiting 1 Eyrie warrior here. I have to move from 3 different clearings. I have to move from a mouse clearing. I'll move 1. I have to move from any clearing, and I have to move from a fox clearing. I'll move from any clearing. So again, we'll deplete the mouse clearing a little bit, and I'm going to move 5 warriors into 5. I'm now battling in this bunny clearing. Can I please roll better? Nope, I can't. 1-0. So that's a thing. And now I'm building in a clearing that I rule without a roost. I'm building there. We go to my daylight. I get 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And I draw 2 cards. 1 and 2. Hey, it's my first bird, kids. Super exciting. We now go to the Mechanical Marquise turn. This card should have discarded last turn. The Marquis gets a fox. They are not crafting because that is not a craftable item on their card. They're recruiting in a fox clearing. They have 1 warrior not on the board. The highest priority is 6. That's the highest priority that they rule fox clearings is 6. So they did their recruit action. They're going to do a build action. They're going to place another sawmill. So really have upped the urgency to me to attack the heck out of a mouse clearing. And they're going to place this sawmill in a place with the most warriors that has an opening. Highest priority, they have to rule. They have 4 warriors here, but it's full. They can't build there. They have 3 warriors here, 3 warriors there, 3 warriors there. So they're going to go highest priority is actually 10. 10 is a bunny clearing, but it's fine because the fox indicates what kind of building, not the clearing that it has to be built in. And now they're going to move. They're going to move from 6 to most enemy pieces. There are none, so it's going to have highest priority. It's going to go up to 2, which does mean that maybe I come over here and just start attacking this bunny clearing because now I have another sawmill I can go after that's going to be a little bit more vulnerable than 2. Especially with 2 buildings there. When taking off a building of a bot, you have to randomly decide which is taken off. So personally, I would roll a die. We're now going to give the Marquis 3 points because they have so many sawmills on the board. +1, they're at 13. They get the +1 because nightmare level. So that gets discarded. My turn. I'm going to add this here, battle, and could craft this and just get a point. Won't do that. I'll just hold on to this for now. So I'm placing 5 warriors. Definitely would not mind losing a few because I need to lose at least 2 or I'm going to go into turmoil next turn. So I'm placing 4 warriors here and I'm placing 1 warrior in a bunny clearing. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to move 1 from any clearing, 1 from the mouse clearing, and I'm moving 6 into this bunny clearing. I'm going to battle. Please roll better. I'm battling twice in the bunny clearing at 10. 1 and 1. I'm not going to be able to defeat the sawmill now because I just am rolling so poorly. I'm battling in this bunny clearing again. A 3 and a 0. I wish that was reversed because had I rolled a 3 first, this would have been defenseless and it would have been an extra hit, but now it's not defenseless. That building is fortified because of that trait, so I have not defeated that sawmill yet. Oh, shoot. I knew I had a build. I wouldn't have risked that. Instead of moving that guy up there, I will have to get something in a mouse clearing next turn. I would have moved these to this fox clearing because I have to make sure I'm building. I have to build in a place that doesn't have a roost already. Sorry about that, but yeah, I went back. Instead of moving from the bunny clearing there, I just moved from the bunny clearing and moved everything into 8. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build in this fox clearing. I go to my evening phase. I get 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're tied. And I draw 2 cards. I do need some battles. I still need to get 1 Eyrie back. So Marquis are going to craft because they can. So they're going to get 1 point for that. They're up to 14. They have crafted a boot. Das Boot. Oh, wait. When I defeated the last 2 warriors there because of hospitals, these would have gone into the thing with the keep. So those warriors would have gone there. And now this 1 warrior gets recruited to the highest priority, which is 2. The Marquis are building a recruiter in the place with the most warriors. It has an open spot. That is going to be 11 or 12. 11 is higher priority. Oh, I'm going into turmoil. I am going into turmoil because I cannot recruit 5 warriors next turn. Oh, I rolled so weird. And then pulling a mouse was bad because there was no place where they were warring with me. That is really stinky. Stinky is a technical term. They're moving out of all mouse. I'm not going to be able to battle again. Oh, it's so not good. So they're going to move out of here and move into the place with the most enemy pieces. They're moving into 5. They're going to get 3 points. 1, 2, 3. So even though they placed a recruiter, they're still going to get more points for the sawmill and 1 point because we're playing nightmare. My turn. I'm going to do as much as I can. So I'm going to add a warrior to this bunny clearing. I'm going to add 3 warriors to this fox clearing, and now I am in turmoil. So what happens when I go into turmoil? I'm going to be humiliated. I lose 1 point for each bird in there. That's 3, so I go down to 10. My viziers stay. Everyone else is discarded. And now I have to choose another leader. Who do I want? Commander probably makes the most sense. I'm just really chasing, destroying buildings here. That's kind of what I'm left with. I think move and battle is going to make the most sense. Though builder is interesting, I can ignore the disdain rule, but at this point that gives me 2 points and not much else. I'm going to have a lot more chance of getting points with the commander. So move and battle. So I've reset my decree. I immediately go to knight, and when I'm in knight, I'm going to score 4 victory points. I go back to 14 and I draw 2 cards. Note I did not place any cards in my decree because I knew I was going into turmoil, and there's a bunch of bird cards for me.
A little bit too late, kids.
Could have crafted, knowing I was getting this many cards. Yeah, let me have done that as I think about it, because I could craft before I resolve my decree. I had that many cards in my hand, and I have a mouse clearing that I rule. I discard this. My disdain for trade means it's only 1 point instead of 2, but I will get this tea kettle. The Mechanical Marquise, they're getting a bunny. So they are battling in all bunny clearings. Now I'm going to get a bunch of my dudes back. Of course I will. The Marquis are battling in 4. Again, they get the higher number. I get the lower number. They only have 1 warrior there, though, so I can't lose that Roost. They rolled a 3 to a 2. We both lose 1. They're attacking me in 5. There's a bunch of warriors there. 2 to a 1. So I lose 2. They lose 1. It'd have been a 2 to a 2. Hospitals would not have triggered because that only works when they're the defender. We now go to 3 and 10. Nothing to battle at any of those places. They are going to recruit 4 warriors to the ordered clearings that they rule. They only rule 3, so they get both of these warriors in 3. They don't rule 10. They don't rule 5. They don't rule 4. They're now going to build. They're going to build in 12, and they're building a workshop. That's fine with me. The workshop is the least of my concerns. It's giving them the least chance to actually enhance the number of points because they already have so many sawmills on the board. And now they're going to move. They're moving from ordered clearings that they have 3 or more marquee warriors in. So they're moving from 3. There are no adjacent places with enemy pieces. So high priority means that these guys move to 6. We go to evening. They're going to score 3 points plus 1. They go from 18 to 22. So I likely have 3 turns to try to catch up, considering the state of things on the board. And this was supposed to be move and battle, not move and build.
Makes 0 sense, Greg.
Okay, I'm going to first keep crafting because I'm just chasing as many points as possible. There's not much left in this game. If you go to Birdsong, I'm going to add 1 or 2 cards to my decree. I'm going to try to get a bunch of their buildings knocked out. So I'm going to battle. Hopefully I roll well and my warriors will last for a couple of turns. But I'm going to go ahead and craft this using that clearing, that mouse clearing that I rule. So I'm going to get the sack and I get 1 point. Gets me up to 16. I'm going to carry out my decree. And actually, again, the crafting happened at the first step of daylight. Now I'm at the second step of daylight. So I'm moving from a matching clearing. That is any clearing. I'm going to move from 10 to 11. Oh,
I'm going to get walloped.
Nope. Even better. I'm going to move from 8 to 7. I have to battle in a mouse clearing. I'm going to battle in 7. I do 3 damage. It becomes 4 damage because of the commander. They do 1, so I lose 1 warrior. And my 4 damage is enough to knock out these. And I can overcome fortified to knock out this sawmill that goes back there. I get 1 point. It would have been 2 if Despot was on the board, but it's not. And because of hospitals, though, these guys go back to the keep. I'm going to battle in 10. We're using one of the bird cards now. I have 2 battles I have left to do. I did 2 damage. It's undefended. It would have become 3. It doesn't matter. Sawmill goes by. I get a point. And now I'm going to battle in 5. Boom. I do 1 damage. It becomes 2. I knock off 2. Since there's a defender, these guys come back here. Keep is now loaded with cats. That is the end of my turn. We now go to the evening. I'm going to get 4 points. I go from 18 to 22, and I get 2 more cards. And I can craft one of these, which is nice. Having the builder would have been interesting because I would have got a lot more points for crafting, but I think the commander is going to be really the only chance I have to pull this off. If I get 3 more turns, I think I'm good. If I only get 2 more turns, I think I'm toast my ghost. The Mechanical Marquise, oh, it's a bird card. Great. They're battling at every clearing. So again, nothing to craft. They're battling in every clearing. So they're battling at 8. This is undefended, so this has to go away. They get a point for that. They're battling in 5. They do 2. I do 2. They only have 1 though. So 1 and 1. They're recruiting 2 warriors into 2 clearings they rule of the lowest priority. That's going to be 1 and 12. They're building in a clearing of the most. They're going to build a recruiter. They're going to place this where they can. The best place they can is at 8. And now they're moving and battling wherever they move. They're not moving from 2. They are moving from 3. These all go into 7. That battle is going to happen. 1 and 1. And I only get the extra hit when I'm the attacker. 4, 5, 6. They're moving most enemy pieces. These guys are going to move to 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Most enemy pieces. They're battling in 10. I rolled 2 and 2, but they only had 1 cat there, so they can only do 1 damage. And that's the end of their escalated daylight. They're going to score 3 points plus 1. That gets them up to 27, which is super bad for me. I don't think I'd be able to overcome that. Some of those battles just went so bad. I was expecting to go to turmoil like a round or 2 later, but I just wasn't able to really get things going. When you go into turmoil and recruit, it's like the worst. You lost your whole turn. So you weren't able to do anything. The only chance is if I can somehow get 2 of their recruiters off the board. I got 1 point there, and if they don't have a crafting ability on the next card, that would give me a very outside chance to kind of pull this off. I'm trying to think if I get 9 points on this 1 turn. If I destroyed 3 of their buildings, craft and build. When I start with Despot, I'm really hoping to get at least 1 building destroyed because those 2 points make a huge difference. There's no way I can do it. I wonder if I had taken Builder, Group Move, Battle. Might have had an actually chance. That 3rd battle last turn was kind of silly. I'm going to put a build thing here. Nah, we'll try to do it this way. We're going to put a move card here, put a build card here. I'm going to craft this, get this, and get 1 point. And I'm going to move here to here and down into 11. And we're battling 3 times there. So first battle, 3 to a 3. I do 4, but again, the extra 1 doesn't help me because these have 2 health now. But the last 2 battles are going to absolutely wipe out those buildings. So I lose 3, loses 3. Hospitals is going to come into play. They're going to place 2 warriors in the clearing with the keep token. I'm going to battle again. I do 3 damage. It becomes 4 damage because they're undefended, and 5 damage effectively because of commander. So I actually wiped out 2 of their structures. That's 2 points. These will go back on their board. And then I'm going to have to battle a 3rd time. I'll battle in this mouse clearing. 3 to a 3. Everyone's wiped out. They were the defender, even though they had more cats. So hospitals kick in. They all go there. And now I'm going to build. I'm going to build in this mouse clearing. I get 4 points. I go to 29. And I'm going to lose the game. Oh, it's crazy. I could have like crafted one of those recruit cards. Something. Just like the way the rolls came out. Like I just needed 1 more turn as a despot. I think I would have had this for sure. We now go to the Marquise turn. We will carry out their turn. They are going to craft. They get a point from that. So they're at 28. Now it's effectively like nothing I can do, right? So it's a little bit silly like playing this out. But silly it shall be. They are going to battle in each fox clearing. Nothing applies. They're going to recruit in the 2 fox clearings that they control. 6, 8, and 12. 6 gets the bonus. They are going to build in the clearing with the most. They're building a sawmill, and they're going to build this here. There's an open spot in 8. And now they're going to move from fox clearings. They're going to move from 6 to the place with the most enemy units. That's 11. They're going to move from 12 to the place with the most enemy units. That's 11. And now they're evening. They're going to score 2 points plus 1 point to get to 31.
So sad.
Oh, that was very frustrating. Some dice that could have gone just a little bit differently. I just needed 1 more unit. I knew I was risking that with the recruits. It's definitely a problem with the charismatic leader as well. Don't be so overzealous in recruiting. I knew I was going to go into turmoil at some point. If I could have carried that out 1 more time, I would have had all my guys on the board. I would have done some battles. I would have tried to knock out those buildings up here because they were a little bit vulnerable. And with the despot especially, I just needed like 1 good roll. Then I would have been able to get 2 points for that. Even if I go into turmoil the next turn, you know, it's not the worst. Also, with a lot of battles, it wouldn't have been that crazy to keep getting 5 of my guys back. I mean, again, all my guys were on the board, and here I am sitting with, 12 of them back on the side when the rolls are really low and you're relying on your units to be killed and it just doesn't happen. It's a little bit frustrating with the Eyrie, but they're a cool faction. I really like how they're built. They kind of work for me. These traits are a little interesting. Iron Will, when you're playing with the rest of them on Nightmare, they don't feel like Iron Will that comes up all that often after maybe like the first turn. It's interesting early if you get a bird card early for the Marquis, then all of a sudden they have like a bunch of warriors in the center of the board, which makes things really interesting to kind of play around. But in this game, that didn't really come into play too much. I think Fortified came into play once or twice. It made it a little bit harder for me to destroy some buildings, and obviously field hospitals really just loaded up to keep. A fun little bot. It's definitely an improvement over the Mechanical Marquise 1. Mechanical Marquise 1, I just found ridiculously hard in a way that just was not fun. Like, I don't mind hard games, but this one was like just absolutely absurd. Just the way the bot acted based on whatever cards came off. It was so freaking luck dependent. And then the number of points the Marquis could score. They were scoring points based on how many clearings they ruled with a certain number of units. It was absolutely ridiculous. You get a couple of bird cards early. I mean, they were just scoring 10 points in a turn on their third turn. And it was like, what the heck is going on? That might be a little bit of an exaggeration by 1 or 2, but it wasn't much. It was a really, really bad bot. I basically played it till I beat it like once, and I was like, all right, let me see what this 2.0 is about, but I did want to try it. But 2.0 is a much better game. It's very user-friendly. The rulebook is not amazing. I find the organization a little bit weird when you know the game and then you're trying to learn the Marquis. It's like, oh, okay, everything's really, really spelled out for you. If you have an older printing at Clockwork, you should know that there were some rules changes to the electric Eyrie. So the decree had some things that were augmented in the rule book, but the errata is really easy to find on Board Game Geek, and I just went ahead and wrote on there because that's how I roll. So I think the next game we'll flip the script a little bit, put the electric Eyrie on there. Any requests for a faction that somebody wants to see, let me know. I'm really interested to play the Woodland Alliance, but I don't know if that's the greatest matchup. This game is going to be heavily dependent on the matchups. The good thing is that the Learn to Play has a bunch of recommended options. In a 2-player game, Eyrie versus Marquis is the ideal 2-player learning game. So I like the fact that they made that so evident for you. Of course, the River Folk expansion decided not to include that for 2-player games, which is fine, but we'll see. But if I do the Eyrie versus the Woodland, I think that could be super fun. The other 2-player combos that they have the Woodland Alliance versus the Marquis. They have the Eyrie versus the Vagabond. I think these 4 matchups will be a good place to start to get the different factions on here. Lots of things to explore, but I'm yammering. It was a sad day in the Woodland as the Eyrie are still subject to these awful cats, but it was a tight one, a 31-29 loss. Indeed, a bit sad. If you are a veteran of this game, please let me know in the comments any resources that I haven't seen. As I'm sitting here and trying to dive deeper into the land of Root, I will definitely take some guidance. If there were any rules mistakes, please put them in the comment section below. As I always say when I feature a new game, if you are watching this playthrough soon after its publication, please come back and check the pinned comment in a couple of weeks. Make sure there are not any major rules that I missed. It does happen. I am very sad when it happens, but hopefully that is not the case here. But hopefully I'm not being naive by saying that, as I have been known to do in the past. But I am going to have to leave this woodland for now. Thank you for joining me as always. If you want to see what's coming up in Solo Playthroughs Land, the link to my Patreon page is below. There you will find a public post with a schedule of playthroughs to come for this month and the next. And until next time, whenever that is, happy gaming.